One of my greatest memories in life was a year ago in Yangon, Myanmar. We decided to throw a major world championship title fight in Yangon because the entire country of 54 million people had never had a world champion in any sport. So we said, let's bring our undefeated Russian world champion, Vitaly Big Dash, 6'4", 220 pounds, six-pack, look literally like out of a movie. A sheer rock undefeated Russian, steely blue eyes. And we said, let's pick a local Myanmar hero and let's have a fight. The odds makers had it 100-1 in favor of the Russian world champion. And it was insanity. That entire week, I could not believe the media, the fans, the frenzies. Literally thousands and thousands of people came out just to watch an open workout. Every day the media was flooded on TV, radio. It was just insanity. I'd never seen anything like that. And when the big day came, I remember the stadium was full of thousands of screaming fans. They're cheering for their hero, Ong La Un Sang. Ong La, Ong La, Ong La. The entire stadium, you couldn't even hear yourself speak. The emotions were running high. The air was thick with adrenaline and drama. And when the fighters met in the front, in the center of the cage, there was an eerie silence. All this buildup, all this hype, and the moment of truth. They step back, and the fight begins. It's an all-out war. And in the 3rd minute of the first round, somehow, the Myanmar hero, the 100-1 underdog, throws a massive overhand right and drops the Russian. Everyone, the stadium erupts. Our social media metrics go crazy. TV ratings insane. The entire country of 54 million people riveted, cheering for their hero. In the bars, in restaurants, in every home. The Russian was not to be denied, gets back up. And it's an all-out war, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But in the end, a new world champion was crowned. Ong Lan Sang dropped to his knees and wept like a child. This photo is now one of the most famous photos in the entire country of Myanmar. This represents the greatest athletic moment, sporting moment in the history of the entire country. The world witnessed greatness that night. And when I came back, I held a company meeting and I said, guys, if you ever doubted our mission since day one has been to unleash real-life superheroes who ignite the world with hope, strength, dreams, inspiration, courage. This is not a fight promotion. Everyone else can sell fights. We are building heroes. And then I said to my team, the world witnessed greatness. But what the world didn't see were the millions of kids all over Myanmar who suddenly had a belief ignited in their soul that anything was possible, that any dream is possible. They had a hero for the first time. And I said, watch guys, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now, there will be a famous neurosurgeon from Harvard Medical, and he will say, when I was 17 years old, I lived in a poor little village in Myanmar with no electricity and running water, and we all huddled around the TV, battery charged, and I saw this incredible moment in my country. And at that moment, I decided I want to be the world's greatest doctor. You see, this is the power of one championship. One Championship is now the world's fastest growing global sports media property in history. Just to give you perspective, 3.5 years ago, our online video viewers were 300,000. This year we'll cross 4 billion, and the next couple of years, 40 billion. We went from literally nothing just a few years ago to now making a big impact in terms of unleashing greatness in the world. If you compare us to F1 born 1950, we were born 7 years ago, but as a media property, we're neck and neck. And I predict in the next 12 months we will surpass F1. The next 3 years we intend to go from 138 countries to 194 countries. Our social media metrics and digital metrics far exceed that of other regional or local sports media properties. And it's a very simple formula actually we have. I always say internally in our team, it's the same formula of success that the Olympics uses. It's not about fighting or violence. One championship is about values, heroes, and stories. One championship is about values, heroes, and stories. Why? Because Asia has been the home of martial arts for 5,000 years. It is part of our tradition, our history, our culture, our society. It is the bedrock of values in the entire continent. And martial arts, I've been doing martial arts for over 30 years, and I still train every day. And I can tell you martial arts is not about fighting or violence. Martial arts is a way of the warrior in which thousands of hours of training, we inherit integrity, humility, honor, respect, courage, compassion, discipline. This is the bedrock of martial arts. And this is what One Championship is celebrating. If you look at the economic opportunity for a split second, if you look at the US, $20 trillion economy, population base is 325 million people, an ad market of 200 billion. You use those exact same numbers, you come to Asia. Asia, $23 trillion market. 165 billion ad market, but it's growing double digit, and it will overtake US in the next 5 years. Population base, 4.2 billion. Now, if you look at the US and say, okay, with those numbers, with those headline big macro numbers, they produced 3 sports properties, mega ones, NFL, $75 billion market cap. It's a single country sport. No one gives a damn about American football except Americans. It will never scale across any geography because sports, at the end of the day, has to be part of the culture, the history, the tradition. It has to be in the daily lives of children, of families. In the same way that karate is in Japan, judo, taekwondo in Korea, kung fu in China, Muay Thai in Thailand, Silat in Indonesia, Sambo in Russia. It is part of the fabric of society. But if you look at the US, they produced 3 properties, 75 billion, 39 billion, and 37 billion market cap. You come over to Asia, and there's literally 3 sports properties in the billion-dollar range. IPL, cricket, phenomenal business, phenomenal property. I have massive respect, $5 billion. But it's a single country sport, effectively, because cricket is nowhere else in this continent celebrated except for India. CSL, China Super League, Soccer League, same thing. They created a structure that's specifically for China. But ours is the only one that is truly Pan-Asian in throwing events as well as our broadcast. And our TV ratings have exploded, literally number 1 or number 2 sports property across the entire continent. And we predict, and it is my goal, it is my lifetime goal to surpass NFL. I genuinely believe in my heart all the macro numbers, all the cultural factors, society factors, that One Championship will be the world's largest global sports media property, full stop. You know, when I look at my journey in the last 7 years of One Championship, I searched for meaning. Unleashing real-life superheroes, igniting inspiration, hope, strength, and dreams. You see, everyone in this room, we are the lucky ones. For whatever reason, we are the chosen ones, the universe, God, or whatever. We are in an industry that literally changes lives. Music, sports, entertainment, gaming, literally have an impact on everyday life, on how people live their life. Whether they're upbeat, whether they're inspired, whether they're down, whether they're literally shaping the humanity. You see, I don't believe that anyone was put on this earth just to work a 9-to-5 job, just to buy a house, to have a mortgage, just to have a nice car to impress people. No, I believe that we were all put on this earth to unleash our greatness in life so that we can give back more than we can receive. Because at the end of the day, we are all one. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. They thought they'd get a former rugby player and coach from the outback of Australia and keep it simple and even. Chatri, phenomenal success. Congrats. I guess your passion, you're doing what you love, and it's fantastic, but it's still a business. So you are really an example of what we're all facing in the industry right now. We've got pressures on subscription, how do we monetize the content, commercial sponsorship challenges, streaming. And yet you've offered streaming for free through your app. What's the theory behind that?
You see, every media property at the end of the day, if I think about X and Y axis, right? On one end, it's reach, how many people are actually watching or consuming your content. And then on the other axis, frequency and engagement. How often are they seeing your content? And how deeply are they engaged? And for One Championship, we just want to travel all along this thing. So let me give you an example. Our average event now, 3 years ago, on free-to-air TV, was around 700,000 live viewers per event. Today it's 11 million. Our 3-year goal is 100 million. And by distributing our content all over the world via our mobile app, via every platform actually, free-to-air, pay TV, social, digital, and our mobile app, our fans can interact with our content 24/7, 365. And as our live events scale, right now we have 24 live events this year. We're going to 52 in the next 3 years. So every single weekend out of an event in all the iconic cities of Asia, Tokyo, Beijing, Shanghai, Bangkok, Jakarta, Manila, etc. And eventually we're going to go to 104. So that every single weekend, the entire continent, 4 billion people, can celebrate their heroes, can celebrate the greatest cultural treasure of Asia, the values, the heroes, and the stories. And so ultimately, you have to think of a media business this way. But how do you travel that way? See, the thing is, the really unique thing about the media business is that the qualitative drives the quantitative. If you follow the numbers only blindly, you will get destroyed. So you have to think very deeply about qualitatively, what is it that resonates with the fans? What is it that resonates with the customers, with the clients? And for One Championship, we've discovered that it's values, heroes, and stories. And since day one, we've never ever promoted violence or fighting or that. It's my DNA. Like, one of the biggest things for me personally was I hated the way the West was portraying martial arts. And I wanted to bring authenticity, which is, Asia's been the whole martial art for 5,000 years. I'm a lifelong martial artist. And I said, I want to celebrate and showcase martial arts in its home, in its authenticity, and export to the world. So again, it all comes down to, for me, authenticity, storytelling, values, and heroes.
Did you consider pay-per-view?
We are considering still, but Asia's never been a pay-per-view market, and so you have to play to the taste of the market. That being said, if you look at China, mobile pay-per-view commerce has gone ballistic. So there is massive opportunity. I just think that Asia's a few years behind. It's just in the same way, right? Like, if you look at the development of the 3 regions of North America, Europe, and Asia, the industrialization of America industrialization of Europe, industrialization of Asia. Asia's lagged by 20 years. The intellectual property businesses, after the industrialization's over, after you've built the hotels, the factories, the cars, etc., the next is how do you build IP-based businesses like in America, which is software, medical, technology, media, asset-light businesses that require heavy IP. America's way ahead, even ahead of Europe. And then Asia's catching up. And so that's why when I looked at the opportunity set of martial arts in Asia, I used my heart because I love martial arts, but I used my head in the sense of it's a massive greenfield opportunity.
You've got 22 events. You've got 24 booked out of 30 for next year already. Why Korea and Japan? Where's the opportunity?
I believe that Japan will be the single most important market for One Championship in the next 3 to 5 years. I'm making a big bet in Japan and investing heavily in it. And the reason why is because martial arts in Japan, you can go everywhere. Karate, judo, aikido, kendo, karate, it's everywhere. Every child is doing it. But the industry historically has been plagued by the Yakuza. And this is the first time that a global property is coming into Japan with the right form and the right DNA, which is Bushido, which is the martial arts, the warrior way. And we have now the largest roster of Japanese athletes of any organization in the world. And again, that's the whole plan, the mindset. So we just entered from a broadcast basis with Abima TV, the largest digital TV player, but we're in multiple discussions with free-to-air players and potential pay TV as well. So I think Japan represents a massive opportunity as the world's third largest economy. So China and Japan are huge strategic initiatives for One Championship. I believe both have massive potential to be the primary markets of One Champion. Obviously, we were born in ASEAN, but we are truly a Pan-Asian property because martial arts is truly Pan-Asian.
And then you've got India.
Right.
We were talking backstage about how you're going to do that. Maybe share with us what the plan is.
So we're in discussions with all the major broadcasters in India as well. We anticipate that in the next probably 3 to 6 months, we'll be announcing a deal in India. That will be our first footprint. So yes, you're absolutely right. China, India, and Japan are the last big frontiers in which we're attacking very aggressively. We're also entering Korea and Vietnam for the first time next year. But already, in terms of live events, again, so the vision, at least a 3-year vision, is to do 52 live events out of all the iconic cities of Asia, celebrating local heroes on the global stage, igniting the masses. This is not about fighting. See, if you focus on fighting, it's a niche audience. But if you focus on the Olympics, values, heroes, and stories, this is what ignites countries. Just that same story of Angla has happened in many countries for us. In the Philippines, we've lit it up as exact same stories. So again, it's all about, and the most amazing thing about our athletes is, the reason why these stories are so touching is because these athletes come from the most humble backgrounds, orphanages, parents who are illiterate, the bottom rungs of society, literally, because they weren't afforded any education opportunities and literally had to climb up like Rocky with his hands and fists, but when they become a world champion, that life story, like Manny Pacquiao or like Yao Ming, they inspire nations because it's such a dramatic life story that's so inspirational. And that's the power and the magic of storytelling.
What are you seeing at the moment, the trend? There's so much change going on in our industry. Technology, broadcast rights, streaming, everyone thinks that's the messiah, but there's a huge technology cost there. Piracy, these are all issues that we're all involved with. What do you see the big shift at the moment about viewership and absorption of content?
So I think I'm talking from a content owner perspective, I think the tide has really shifted definitely in the last few years where the content owners are definitely the masters of their fate, whereas distribution broadcasters are, if they're not strategic in aligning with the right content owners, can quickly dissipate and disappear. And I think we're going to see the big shakeout in the media industry the next 5 years. I think a lot of big broadcasters will get wiped out.
What type of broadcasters?
I don't want to badmouth anybody. So some guys have it right, some guys have it wrong. And it's, I talked to obviously all the major CEOs and senior management across the continent. And some guys are really, really cutting edge and really get what it is that's going to light things up. And some guys are literally think that the old formula is going to work. But we are in a new era. The consumer, if you think about the first window, is the mobile device. It is yes, Asia still has lots of free to air, which is why One Champion took a free to air strategy early on. But at the same time, we have a very aggressive digital strategy as well. So, but free to air over time definitely is going to dissipate. And so the idea is, for us, we want to be platform agnostic on every single platform. So on free to air, for example, every week in the Philippines, we're broadcast 4 hours a week, every single week. And we're either number one or number two. Our show is typically there. So, that's an example and it's all across the continent. The idea is, again, you should be able, as a fan, to turn on your phone, see us on Facebook, go to YouTube. You should then be able to pull up your mobile device, get the latest news. You should be able to come home and watch on free-to-air or paid TV a live event. It's literally content ubiquity and device agnostic.
On your mobile devices, are they jumping in and out? Are they watching for 3 minutes, 8 minutes? Or are they?
So it depends. We have, on our mobile, because mobile is really suited for short form, exciting, edgy content. So typically it is very, let's say Facebook, it'll be bite-sized, it'll be about a minute. But YouTube is more longer format, so we'll have life stories, documentaries, video blogs. So, we use differentiated content for different platforms. So for Facebook, we try to use highlights and exciting stuff and very short life story documentaries that inspire you. But then YouTube has more long form format. And we do the 30-minute documentaries. We have a reality TV show, a travel show that's kind of Anthony Bourdain meets martial arts. A world champion travels all the countries, experiencing, he's an American guy, American world champion travels all the countries of Asia, exploring the sights and sounds and flavors of each country while looking for the next superstar by talking to all the grandmasters, going to all the major martial arts schools and dojos, and really showcasing the beauty of the culture of martial arts across the continent. So that's with free-to-air broadcasters as well as YouTube. We really think about, if you think about the entire ecosystem, we want differentiated content for each platform so that everyone together, we can all celebrate one championship, but the paid TV guys might get the world title fights, and the crown jewels. The free-to-air guys might get the regular every week content, live events up until the main card, all the hero stuff as well. And the digital guys will get highlights and cut-ups and videos and interviews. And there's so many ways to slice and dice. But the idea is really to allow everyone in the ecosystem to benefit from differentiated content so that they're able to monetize, and we really have a win-win mindset with everybody in the ecosystem.
So the future, other than Japan and Vietnam and Korea, India is in plan. What about America?
Competition. It's funny you say that, but we will be announcing a US TV deal imminently. We have been in discussions for the last year with the major US broadcasters, and there's been great interest for us. In terms of events, that's not really our focus. But the fact that, the thing about martial arts content resonating out of Asia, being exported to the world, it's authentic. Bruce Lee, Jet Li, Jackie Chan, these are heroes even in America. If you look at the martial arts community as a whole, it's 1 billion plus globally, right? And in terms of fans of martial arts content. And so there's authenticity that rings out of one championship that no other martial arts organization in the world can claim.
Where do you think the viewership's going to grow?
Right, so right now, as I mentioned, we get 11 million viewers as per Nielsen per event.
Just to compare that, if I may jump in, you've got 4 million happening on each NBA game as a comparison, right? But there's about 1,200 NBA games.
Right, correct.
So apples for apples, phenomenal.
Right. I mean, it's still, it puts us in the top 15 of all sports properties in the world. If you think about NFL, which is the again, the most valuable sports property, Super Bowl does 100 million, which is their biggest event, right? Their world championship. Other than Olympics and World Cup, that 100 million mark is the biggest. I mean, if you just look at the sheer growth and our current growth rates, we will cross the $100 million viewer mark in the next 3 years, probably earlier, because we're attacking China, Japan, and India at the same time. So, it's new geographies plus our organic growth of our current countries, which are, growing, just the metrics have just gone insane. Like, I think the beginning of the year, we're at 5 million fans on Facebook, and then we're going to cross 10 million fans on Facebook it'll happen this week.
I saw you've just had a very successful capital raising within 2 weeks, phenomenal. I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit to wind it up.
Sure.
Chatri, are you making money?
We have the biggest balance sheet, bar none, in the entire media industry in Asia. I can tell you that we just raised a crap load of money a couple weeks ago. We haven't announced
it yet. What's a crap load, mate? I'm a simple country bloke.
I said we have the biggest balance sheet in Asia.
Yeah, right.
Literally the biggest. There's no content owner that has a bigger balance sheet than us. And I'm not speaking arrogantly from that perspective. I'm just stating factually.
Yeah.
So the luxury that One Champion has now is that we can do it right. We can focus on reach, frequency, engagement. We can focus on the fans. We can invest heavily in our content. We can invest heavily in our partners and help our partners win the entire ecosystem, whether it's broadcasters, advertisers, sponsors. Again, we have a very strong win-win philosophy. If we build an ecosystem that truly is ubiquitous, that everyone is winning off of our content, then it's sustainable. And that's my entire vision. Like, the next 3 years, when we hit 100 million viewers, that's still just the beginning. Because if you think about 100 million viewers, Asia is the largest market in terms of eyeballs. 4 billion people, but 2 billion viewers in the same time zone. So theoretically, one day, in some crazy fantasy of mine, we will have a major world championship fight between lots of different countries, and there'll be 2 billion concurrent viewers. Now, that is a crazy dream, but that's my big, hairy, audacious goal, lifetime dream, But in the next 3 years, we'll definitely surpass 100 million viewers per event.
Do you see yourself in the Olympics?
For sure. I mean, because if you think about it, look at Olympics. Judo's already in there, karate, boxing, wrestling. These are all the foundations of martial arts. And One Championship, we don't just focus on mixed martial arts. We do have mixed martial arts, but we focus on all the individual disciplines as well, like submission grappling, wrestling, boxing, karate, kickboxing, Muay Thai. We showcase all the martial arts, and that's a big difference as well between us and the other martial arts organizations. If you take our Western counterparts, they're focused on MMA, which is an American word and American concept. We focus on martial arts as the home of martial arts. So we celebrate Taekwondo from Korea, karate from Japan, Kung Fu from China, Muay Thai from Thailand, and individual fights, individual events. So that's the whole scope of it.
Well, mate, it's a phenomenal story. It's an amazing journey since you've had 2011. On behalf of all of us and Jasper and Sid and Brandon, thank you for coming today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Please thank Chatri, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you.